Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Her Space Unscripted. As always, I'm your host, Angela, and I'm so excited to be here today. I know it's been a minute. I'm sorry, but we've had a lot of shit going on. So first of all, we'll address the Rapunzel in the room, because shout out to Miss Tristan. This is an 11 p.m. TikTok that went out to Miss Tristan that said, I want hair like hers. Mind you, my hair's this short. But your girl came through like always. And you guys know Tristan was in another episode where we filmed at Karma. So you know where to find her. She was tagged. Yeah, let her go bundle you up, y'all. But anyways, back to the big news and the announcement at hand. I am so humbled and excited and honored to announce that I was picked as one of TJ Maxx's you-sponsored sponsorship awardees. This sponsorship is TJ Maxx, and then my co-sponsor was Carly Cushion. And if anybody knows her, she's just amazing. She is a designer. She designs for all the celebs, y'all. We're talking Rihanna, we're talking Selena Gomez, we're talking Lala, we're all of them. She also does decor, and she's just overall just an amazing human. I had the opportunity to meet her and have a wonderful conversation. And but yes, so they sponsor women that are showing up authentically themselves in this world. And when I tell you this sponsorship meant so much to me, because it's a different kind of thing that I got in my life, right? Because I do a lot of early childhood, I do a lot of different things, but this was a sponsorship for me as a woman. They felt like me as a woman deserved to be picked, to be celebrated, to be recognized for just being me. And so it's such an honor. It's so exciting. Some things. Okay, so first of all, you guys know or might not know, I'm a huge WNBA fan. And so Nafisa Collier is one of my favorites, and she recently just dropped her ad that she's a Maxxinista. And so I was so excited to be officially deemed one myself, right? So shout out to all the Maxxinistas out there. But no, they sent me all this cool stuff. Hoodies, these cards, being a true original being in the true original family, and just all these amazing things. And TJ Maxx was just such an amazing sponsor. They have an amazing team, and I got bags, I got a bunch of all kinds of stuff. So shout out to TJ Maxx. Thank you so much. But one of the most exciting things that I got was the sponsorship money. So they gave me $20,000 to do whatever I wanted to do with it, to lift myself up and just be me in this world. And that's where you come in. So I have decided to do a mini sponsorship of my own. Her Space Unscripted is starting the Pivot with Purpose sponsorships. What does that mean? Well, I am who I am because of some major pivots I made in my life. One of the biggest pivots is becoming an entrepreneur, right? I own businesses. I run early learning centers. I have a nonprofit. I do a lot of work, right? And those were one of the biggest pivots in my life, was choosing to do that, especially when I chose to do it. I was a single mom of one. Her only source of anything, right? If I failed, that baby failed. So leaving my very steady income to become an entrepreneur and follow my dreams and follow my goals was the scariest shit I've ever done in my life. And unfortunately, my journey isn't filled with a lot of amazing, supportive women. If I'm being honest, I was surrounded by a lot of mean girls, y'all. A lot of mean girls. And I think that is one of the reasons why I have chose to try so hard to not be a mean girl, but to be quite the opposite and just work to mentor and inspire other women, to show up for other women, to tell you guys my horrible shit, that all the mistakes I've made and all the failures that I've done, because why not,
right? Why not? Why not help each other up? Imagine a world where we stopped tearing each other down and instead we started to build each other up. And that is a world that I am so excited to try to be a part of and to encourage and support. And so this is one of the ways that I want to try to do it. So pivoting with purpose, it can be anything, right? Like I said, one of the biggest pivots in my life was becoming an entrepreneur. It was scary as hell. It was scary as hell. Some days it still is. I still pivot in different ways. Starting the nonprofit with Miss Daisy was a big pivot for us. We started advocating on our own and creating a platform of our own, and started offering resources like home visiting, things that we really didn't know anything about, but we knew were needed and we knew could help people. And so yeah, it's all a little scary, but it's easier when you get a push from each other and money, y'all. It comes with money, y'all. So these scholarships we're hoping to sponsor between 4 and 5 people for up to about $5,000 each, to sponsor their pivot, whatever that looks like for you. And it could be life pivots. So I don't share a lot, or at least I haven't yet shared a lot about one of my biggest pivots in life. I left a very abusive marriage. I got married at 17 years old. I don't recommend it, although I got my beautiful angel daughter out of it and a whole lot of life lessons. So, it wasn't all bad. But I got married at 17. My daughter's 16, so yeah, hell no. But it wasn't, as odd as it sounds, wasn't very abnormal for people in my family, my parents were parents at 15 and 16, right? So, I got married at 17, and man, we had a go at it. I want to be clear that my ex-husband, I don't think he was a bad person. I think he got dealt a really shitty hand and then made really horrible decisions with it. He suffered from addiction and a lot of mental health things. I'm happy to say that I believe he's sober right now and he's living a much happier life. But I know back then it was tough. It was really tough. He joined the military, and I think that only made things worse. And he was very abusive, both physically and mentally. And at the time I thought, like, what a shitty wife, right? Like, here's my spouse, and I'm supposed to be for better or for worse, for richer or poorer, right? And through sickness and in health. And he was sick. And each deployment he came back sicker. And I thought it was my job. I thought it was my job to be a good wife and to support my spouse. But it got bad. It got bad there for a little while. I think there was moments where I even wasn't sure I was going to make it out of that marriage. It's wild because for many, many years, I never knew if he remembered, right? Because when all of it happened, like, he was always blackout drunk. I remember one time, I don't sleep in the dark anymore. I don't sleep in the dark anymore because I remember one time I was dead ass asleep and it was dark in the room and I just woke up to being choked. And it was one of the most terrifying things that happened to me, because I blacked out. And when I blacked out, I was pretty sure I was dead. I woke up clearly, here I am. But in that moment, I really thought that was it for me. And unfortunately, in that marriage, I had a lot of moments like that. And I found out I was pregnant. And when I found out I was pregnant, I was terrified. It was the most scary moment in my life. Not because I didn't want to be a parent, not because I didn't think I would be a good mom, but because I was so afraid that he was going to hurt me and my baby. The crazy part is he never hit me again. I got pregnant and he never put his hands on me again. I was so thankful. But I won't lie, in that moment, it was so much pain. Because that whole time I thought he did it because he couldn't control it. right? Like he would hit me and he would hurt me because it was out of his control. He was sick and he didn't mean to, right? Those were all the things. But if that were true, then how did he just stop? I found that moment to be so heavy. And yeah, my whole pregnancy, he didn't lay a hand on me, my entire pregnancy. I had a beautiful baby girl. Y'all have met her. And, you know, I was so thankful. But once I had my daughter, I was convinced that it was going to start again. And I wanted her to know love to be different. I didn't want my daughter to think love was a struggle. I didn't want my daughter to think love was pain. I didn't want my daughter to think that's how a man loves a woman. And that's the kind of love a woman should expect or deserved. So I tell her all the time that she saved my life, but I don't think she really understands fully what that means. But that was the biggest pivot in my life. I decided that I wasn't going to live that life anymore for her. I had made a choice as an adult to live in that space. And I didn't think it was fair to have her live in that space as a child. She wasn't an adult. She couldn't make that choice for herself. It was my turn to make the choice for her. And I wanted her to have a better life. I did not want her to see that as what love was or what a relationship looked like. I remember I lived in North Carolina at the time, and my daughter was little. She was an infant, and I had one of those little Jetta, the little Volkswagen, like tiny baby cars, right? Like we're talking, I packed it to the rim, y'all. My whole life, my baby, my whole life in this little Jetta freaking Volkswagen. And I drove to New Mexico. And I remember sitting in the driveway, and I put the car in reverse. And I just started bawling. And I'm talking full on, guys. Like I'm pretty sure like my shirt was wet, full on bawling. Because I knew in that moment my life was going to change forever. But I didn't really know what that looked like. Because when I left, I had no money. I had no education. I hadn't been working in years. I had nothing. I had no one, if I'm being honest. I had no friends at that time. I was just a wife for many years. I wasn't close to anyone. And so I had my family. And that's why I was coming back to New Mexico, because my mom and my dad and my brother was here. And you know, I was like, I just got to get back home. I'll be okay if I could just get back home. And so I did. I bawling for hours, but I kept driving. And I ended up here in New Mexico, where I'm at now. And like I said, that was one of the biggest pivots in my life. My daughter asked me the other day, and I won't lie, it hit me hard when she asked me, because I never ever thought of this. Well, she didn't ask me, she made a statement. She said, "Mom, could you imagine what our life would be like if you didn't leave my dad? Have you ever imagined like what it would be like? Do you know where we would live, or like what it, you know, whatever?" And I'm like, holy shit, no. I had never ever, because I think in that moment in that driveway, I had decided like that chapter was closed. Like it was closed, it was done. It was never going to be a chapter I would ever reopen, relive. I wasn't even sure, honestly, I was ever going to reread the chapter. Like it was done to me, done. And so when she asked me that, I'm like, no, I had never, you know, but through all my healing and through my therapy and through, I've had to unbox a lot of things, right? Anyone that's been in therapy, you know that, man, that shit can get deep, it can get tough, it can get challenging, you know, and you have to unpack a lot of it. And so that's why I can so openly talk about things right now. I want to be clear, that has not always been the case for me. There years, I think it wasn't until I think my son was almost born, and he's only 5. I think my son was almost born when I finally told my mom. When I finally told my mom that this had happened to me, and that's the marriage I lived in, and that was my story. They didn't know, you know, and so as I healed and I became more open, I realized that a lot of us don't speak about it. A lot of us don't share those parts of our journey, because I don't know why. I think we just don't. I mean, I was embarrassed, especially being who I am now and this strong person that I present myself as, and this, this leader. And I am all those things. It's not that I'm lying or putting on a fake facade. Like, I am a very confident woman now. I am a very, happy, I at peace. I am all those things. But I haven't always been those things. And I think it's so important to share those pivots in my life and those chapters in my life, because of anyone that might be going through it now. And so that's, circling back, long story made short, this is for women like you too, because I remember one of the reasons why it was so challenging for me to leave is because I didn't have money. I didn't have support. I didn't have that. And so, maybe this is that to you. Maybe we're sponsoring you to pivot in one of the craziest ways in your life, and leave that kind of relationship, or start over somewhere else, or I don't know. You tell me how you're trying to pivot. So how does that look? So we are going to make some posts in the next couple of days with really important links, and you guys will be able to reach out to us. We're going to put out a Google Doc, and you guys will be able to fill out that Google Doc. That'll come straight to us, and me and my team will look through all these amazing women's stories. And I have a feeling this is going to be so freaking hard because I can only pick 4 or 5 of you. But the doc basically just asks you general questions about yourself. The more you choose to share, the more we can, decide how best we can help and support you. So please share as much as you can, and be honest, be real. There's only 2 catches. One of the catches is you would have to appear on Her Space. So we're highlighting you guys, and we're bringing you on the podcast from wherever you're at. So let's be clear, that doesn't have to be New Mexico. You do not have to be in New Mexico to try to get this sponsorship. We'll meet you where you're at. If we don't go in person, we'll do our first ever Zoom podcast, whatever that looks like. We will make sure that we put you in this space and highlight you. So that's one of them. And the other is that you, of course, have to have an active bank account that we could put your money into whenever it's time to do that. But you would have to appear at least twice. You would come once to share your story. You would then share reels and clips as you journey through your story of whatever you're doing with our sponsorship and however it's impacting your life. And then we would follow up. What does it look like? How did it turn out? And how can we continue to support you past the sponsorship? Or now, how do we use your message and your story to inspire and change another woman's life, right? Because that's the goal. That's why I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for TJ Maxx and to Miss Carly, because they are using their platform and their amazingness to inspire women like me. And we're using this now to inspire women like you, and hopefully we can continue to just do that. Because like I said, as one of the biggest things in my journey is that I have ran into too many mean girls. And I truly just believe that, instead of tearing each other down, we choose to build each other up. We can change so much, and we can have such a meaningful impact. And if we can all inspire each other and share our failures, share our successes, share our struggles, and then we can really, really build something. That's what Her Space is all about, right? Is I have had, in the midst of all those mean girls, I now have the opportunity to spend so much time with so many amazing women. And this felt like the space to share them, to share their stories, to inspire you guys the way they've inspired me. And so this just seemed like the perfect way to spend my sponsorship, is to turn around and sponsor some amazing women. So if that is you, please, please, please keep an eye out. Like I said, we're going to be doing some posts about how you would apply and how you would submit your applications, what the deadlines look like, and all of that. That'll go out within the next week or so. So keep an eye out. And again, thank you so much for TJ Maxx. And like I said, I'm a Maxxinista, y'all. It's so exciting. But yes, thank you guys so much. Like, share, comment, all of the things. Save the video so that way you guys can circle back whenever it's time to submit your forms. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to hear all your amazing stories. And even if we don't have the opportunity to sponsor everyone, maybe you guys just come on and share your story and inspire people. So please, again, keep a lookout, comment, like, share. Even if you're not going to nominate yourself, if you know someone you want to nominate, that's okay too. Put them in there. Let's hear their stories. Let's hear your story, and let's grow together. So thank you guys so much. Keep an eye out, and we'll see you next time.